we say to the stranger who compliments us, to our parents, so we never forget to. I love you, we say to our favorite pair of jeans, or friend after a 3 a.m. call. We say by sending Instagram posts, TikToks, and quotes to the loved ones we are reminded of once we see them. I love you. Maybe those words startled you a little bit. A sense of discomfort because they tend to get stuck in your throat when you try to get them out. So instead, you choose to show it by picking up food for a friend or leaving annotations in your book before lending it to them. Or maybe those words sit so comfortably in your vocabulary that you'd scream it at the top of your lungs. I love you. One of the most powerful attributes we as humans can contribute to the world and one another is our love. Love for the people in our lives, the passions we pursue, and the life we have. There are 5 different love languages. Words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. 5 different ways and countless combinations to uniquely display our love for the people we hold closest in our hearts. I mean, what is more genuine than loving someone, whole and completely? I couldn't tell you. In a world where I put such an emphasis on loving others, I dedicated most of my time learning how to be the person and friend I felt the people around me deserved. If you needed someone to talk to, I was happily at your doorstep, or I offered to drive around aimlessly to spend more time together. And if you needed new music, just give me 20 minutes, and I'll have already sent the link to a personalized playlist. I poured my whole heart into my relationships, and I found so much beauty expressing that love for others. So I struggled to figure out why those relationships ended. It's difficult to explain. The gradual disillusionment that people I loved weren't who I thought they were, or who I've always admired. It felt like every other day my heart would stop from the anxiety. I never knew where I stood with them or why. Constantly questioning if my friends cared about me as much as I did them. Asking them, hey, are you mad at me? Did you really say that about me? Did you not defend me? I'm just looking for some reassurance. I just want to know what I did. Hello? Only to be answered with shut doors, with I don't knows, with you're being dramatic, just drop it. I thought so low of myself in these moments, convinced I must have done something to be treated so poorly. It took me until last year to realize it was simply that everyone's love looks different. I didn't want to believe people when they said I needed better friends in my life. My friends were my world, and I did everything to keep them in mind, even if that meant allowing their mistreatment of me. I invalidated my feelings, my boundaries, and suffered in silence just so these people would tolerate me. Yeah, I was miserable. I wouldn't wish that hurt on anyone, not even the people who made me feel that way. I would stay up countless nights trying to figure out how to change myself to be someone they could love. How to be less emotional, how to let go of the past, how to be more interesting, how to accept. I thought back to how I was treated and always wondered. With so many ways to be kind, why would you want to be anything else? As much as my heart stopped from the inconsistency, I still prayed for their display of love. I desperately wanted these people to like me, to simply want me around, that I accepted love in its lowest forms. I remember how every time I entered a room, I was met with a mosaic of side eyes, whispers, and body language that screamed, "We don't want you here," or how I broke down trying to explain to these people how much they had hurt me, and they just stared, blankly. I internalized everything and felt the consistent contemplation in my bones. I didn't matter. I couldn't have. No one who matters is treated like this. I was sure of it. I wish I had a better explanation for everything they did. Maybe it got lost in the mail. When I tried searching for it, I admitted, I just want reassurance. And I'll never forget the response I received. They can't offer that, Nadia. They don't know how to. They're not comfortable with those conversations. Growing up, I was often told that I was more mature than some people my age, that I was more equipped to talk about my emotions, that I was forced to grow up faster in that way. And I hated hearing that. Hearing that meant that it was truly out of my control, that even if these people loved me, they struggled to show it. Why tolerate love? Spoken in a language that's difficult for you to understand. Love that's difficult to feel. Love that leaves you questioning if it's even there at all. It bothered me so much, and I just couldn't figure out why. I mean, why couldn't I just let go? Why was I so attached to people that had shown me in every possible way that they didn't care about me? At this moment, I recall my sophomore year. My teacher, Mr. Kessler, moved around the classroom and digressed the conversation about American history to himself. He asked, "Is anyone else here a Libra?" My ears perked up, a grin smeared across my face, and I slowly rose my hand in solidarity. He returned my grin and began further questioning me. "Do you believe in fairness? That's a trait we have, you know." The question seemed trivial at first, and honestly, I was so confused because I thought it was obvious. There was right and there was wrong. What was controversial about that? I replied, yeah, I would think so. I mean, stealing is wrong, lying is wrong. He cut me off and goes, "No. Do you believe in fairness? Do you believe in morality, in kindness, faith?" The words danced in my head, stood there for a while, and walked away with me as I left the room, still contemplating this idea of fairness and what he exactly meant. Now, I was 14 at the time. This was before I had experienced half the things I think changed me into the person I am today. But in the times I sat and hated myself for not being able to get over what people had put me through, his words came back, danced in my head, stood there for a while, and resonated with me. At a young age, most of us had the universal impression that life is fair. I mean, you grow up thinking that people are good because it's the right thing to do, and that good things happen to those people and bad things to bad people, that when you study, you ace the test, or when you pour your heart into something, that things work out. Because that's the power of genuinity. The hardest part about growing up is realizing that those people that hurt you may never wonder or care about how their actions affected you. That some people are still learning how to show you healthy love. That you can put everything into a person or aspiration, and the world doesn't owe you a reciprocation of those efforts, of that love. It doesn't mean you give up, but still, there's something so heartbreaking about seeing the people who are supposed to care about you shut the door behind them as they walk away. I've always held a special place in my heart for them anyway. When I do calligraphy, I think of the friend that taught me. When I listen to Cage the Elephant, I reminisce about the friend that introduced me to the band. I'll say a joke and chuckle because of that one friend that once used it to cheer me up. The memories of the people in my past lingered, so when they left, the pieces of me left with them. And I knew they had their own memories too. Memories of the songs we sang, of the plans we had, memories of what truly affected me. I mean, I confided in these people. They were there to see what hurt me and who. They saw me in my most vulnerable states, both in what I love and what brought me pain in my past. So how could they talk and act in ways that contradict that love they once felt for me? According to Mr. Kessler, it was the Libra in us that made us care so deeply. Maybe it was our star sign or the fact we share the same birthday. All I knew was that it just didn't feel fair. It wasn't fair that people could be so mean, that there was no explanation, remorse, or apology, that I had to grieve everything alone. How could they do that? And not feel even just a little bit sorry. The carelessness of it all, that's when it clicked with me. Right and wrong, faith. A speaker I found that resonated with me, Najwa Zebion, said, sometimes we give love to the wrong people, and we sit there and we wonder, how could I have given love to this person? They don't even deserve it, or what a waste of time. But the thing is, you shouldn't think of it that way. You should think of the fact that you were able to give love. Because if you were able to give, that means you have it inside of you. It's the same thing with kindness, with honesty, with your ability to care about other people. Don't focus on the way that people abuse that. Focus on the fact that you have it within you, that it makes you who you are. It makes you a beautiful person, a beautiful human being. I found that quote a few months ago, and it gave me a new perspective and permission to heal that I honestly needed. After my experience, I assumed I would meet the same personalities in different people and always struggle to feel like my presence mattered. I lost faith in healthy love. But love can look different for everyone. There are 5 different love languages. Maybe their I love yous came in the way they excluded me or ignored me. Maybe their I love yous came in the way they withdrew their support, walked away, or their careless words and actions. Maybe they didn't love me. Maybe they didn't know how to. Maybe that's what they thought love was. Life becomes more peaceful when you accept people for who they are and not who you want them to be. So this is me accepting that sometimes beautiful things end. Beautiful friendships, relationships, moments, and I'm grateful for the memories, music I was shown, hobbies that were passed down. I'm grateful that these people treated me so horribly and walked away because, honestly, I don't think I could have done it myself. Grateful because the absence of their support allowed me to learn how to be there for myself. But most of all, I'm grateful I now know the love I am worthy of, and that I no longer hold space for people who make me feel like I'm taking up too much. So I stopped carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders or begging for their I love yous to look different or to even be there at all. I simply took a deep breath, a step back, and began picking up the pieces. Touching the flowers around me, saying hello to the moon, seeing the good in my life, even in solitude. In picking up the pieces, I was able to create a new version of myself. Someone who was resilient, kind, and at peace with herself. If I could go back, I would say, please, love yourself the way you so courageously love others. There are 5 different love languages, 5 different ways and countless combinations to remind us why and how we should look in the mirror every morning and say, I love you. Yeah!